So it looks like we're live. Um, all right. Welcome, everybody, to the Ryan MTB Podcast. My name is Ryan Simonovich of the Ryan MTB Podcast and Substack, where I chat with the most interesting people in the gravel and off-road cycling, mountain biking scene. I'm here with Chris Mehlman. How's it going, Chris?
Yeah, pretty well.
Nice. And you have, we've chatted a number of times before, but I believe this is our first transatlantic interview.
Yeah. Over in Girona, it's morning your time and it's 6 p.m. my time. So yeah, a little different, but no, it's a cool place to be in. Honestly, I don't think I miss the US too much to be quite frank.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, yeah, Chris, for those who don't know, how would you describe yourself?
Yeah, so I race ultra events. That's kind of my thing. I would say I've raced on the professional circuit. I don't know if I can call myself professional. I work a job on the side actually in marketing. So Ryan and I have a little bit of a bond, I guess you could say, in that sense as well. Both on Substack, both kind of have similar backgrounds in terms of career. But yeah, I grew up racing XC. Started in local high school league in New England. It's now called NEYC. It's actually not part of NICA, but started in their first year and just decided to. I was like, this is a cool sport. Like, I like mountain biking, and I can now compete. And there's also like other kids my age who do it. And before, I didn't know there were any other kids who did it. And then got into, just kind of doing some UCI XCO, and I'm not suited to it. I'm way too, I'm not explosive at all. Like, I haven't broken 1,000 watts in like 2 years. So, and I'm like 6'2". So, I got into some more marathon mountain biking. I really enjoyed that. And then I switched over. I spent some time on Bear National Team prior to that. So doing XCO, and I got to marathon, and then decided to start doing gravel in 2022. And then slowly progressed to longer and longer events. Actually did my first Unbound XL in 2022. That was when Unbound XL was much, much, much smaller, like much less stacked and stuff. And and then decided this year, my first year doing like fully ultra stuff, so just committing to it. So yeah, it's been a fun progression.
Yeah. And how long ago did you move to Girona? It's been like a few months now, right?
Yeah, so I moved in January, so beginning of January. But it was like a hectic first month. Obviously, sorting out visa stuff. We can get into that. It was quite a challenge, to be honest. And then also, I raced Atlas Mountain Race like 3 weeks after I got here, so I had like a few weeks here. Flew to Morocco. It sounds like a big trip, but actually, it's really not. It's a 2.5 hour flight. It's like flying from Durango to probably LA or something like that, maybe even less. It's not a big trip, but it was obviously a big effort in my body. Obviously, it's a different culture and stuff, and so and then I've had the last few months here. Obviously, did the Traka, but that's essentially a local race, which is pretty crazy to say. So.
Yeah. So most people in the cycling world know about Girona and just how popular it is. But my question is why Girona and why right now? Because people sort of know the origin story of Lance Armstrong and George Hincapie sort of discovering Girona, quote unquote, back in the day. But why is Girona relevant today in 2026, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Girona was first discovered as I guess it's more of a road cycling destination. And I think it's only in the last few years that it's really become an off-road destination. I think, there's the Traka, obviously, but even just people moving here to train, professional mountain bikers too. Yesterday I saw Puck Peters and Sam Gaze riding together. And I think there's a lot of, it's just it's an easy place to live, I guess, as an expat, which is, for better or worse. I think it caters a lot to the cycling community, to people who, there's a lot of support for riders and people who are coming from overseas. There's a lot of really young riders here. I'd actually say that more than families, it's a lot more of the really first, for the professional road crowd, their first contract, they're 18, 19, they're literally kids. I mean, they're like 6 years younger than me or more, sorry, 8 years younger than me. And so, it's really good for those people. And then, yeah, there's good riding of every type. So honestly, I grew up in New England. The winters there are terrible. I moved to Colorado Springs, and the winters are actually better there they're still not great. And the mountain biking in Colorado Springs is great. The gravel riding is okay. In the summer, it's pretty good. The road riding is terrible. It's like very dangerous. And you're doing the same stuff over and over. It's just mentally super draining. And here, there's good riding of all three disciplines, or all three main disciplines. Sorry, cyclocross and BMX. I'm sure there's some good BMX tracks around here if you want. But no, it's it's hard to find places like that, to be honest, where you can go out, have a really cool road ride like I did today. You can go and do a really cool gravel route, really cool mountain bike ride, and and it's nice. Like it's just the lifestyle as well. I haven't been inside a car in 3 months. So that's pretty amazing. Like, as an American, I mean, everyone knows that America is very much a car culture. And Colorado Springs, you had to own a car to live there pretty much. It's not a real city. Here, just, I ride my bike, and everywhere I need to go to get stuff, I can walk, which is quite amazing. Or I can obviously take public transit if needed. And I think I'm very lucky to be able to do that.
Absolutely. So going off that, like, how would you describe like a day in your life in Girona? Like, you wake up and then what do you do?
Yeah, I guess I should also add the main reason I moved here was most of the ultra races I want to do are in Europe. There's much more of an ultra scene here. But yeah, I mean, a day in the life, so I went from being, my company is based on the east coast of the US. So I actually when I lived in Colorado, I was 2 hours behind. So my first meeting of the day was 7 a.m. And now my first meeting of the day is 3 p.m. So it's a big shift. My work days shifted later, excuse me. And yeah, so I mean, typically get up, depending on the day. Sometimes I go to the gym. The only place that's, Spain is known for, I'd say, waking up a little later. Everything starts a little later. The only place that's busy in Girona at 6:30 a.m. is the gym. It's just jam packed. Everywhere else is dead quiet. And then I usually ride, anywhere between 7 to 9, depending on the day. That's actually pretty early by standards here. A lot of the pros, or quote unquote, pros, train at 10, 11, sometimes later. But it's actually nice because it's quiet. Like, I can go to a mare and do one of the climbs there, and it's just no one on it doing intervals, which is pretty cool. And then I get back, lunch, usually get work done before my first meeting, and then I usually have, depending on the day, meetings up through 7, 8 p.m. And then go to formal stretch, go to bed, and wake up and do it again the next day. And then the weekends tend to ride a little bit later in the day, especially with friends. So like today, I left at 10:30 and got back at like 4 or whatever. So pretty sweet.
Yeah, and you do have a marketing job. I'm not sure if that's like you're doing 40 hours a week on that or what, but how do you balance that with the training and racing and the time zone differences?
Yeah, so I do about 30 on average right now. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely a challenge, but I mean, there's a few things. Obviously, I don't have kids, I don't have a family, I don't have a dog. And that makes a big difference, obviously, with responsibilities. But yeah, I work for a marketing agency called Miso Partners, and we do a lot in the cycling industry, actually. Both me and my boss, that's actually how we connected, was over mountain biking and cycling. And he has a lot of experience in the industry as well as outside the industry. And then for me, like, I'm obviously newer to it, but we're trying to establish ourselves in that niche, which I think is which has been going really well, because I think, like, it's a smaller niche, but also it's underserved in a way. We're also working with like independent retailers and the bike space, as well as like independent chains of bike shops. And that's been really cool. So yeah, I think in terms of balancing the work, like, the biggest challenge are meetings for sure, with just the time zone difference, because we have clients all over the US. So it can be a little challenging. Say like you're on the West Coast or you have a client on the West Coast and you have to have a meeting with them. But we've managed to make it work pretty well. And a lot of my work is kind of like not project based, but as long as I can get it done, that's the key thing. And as we've grown, like, I think I've had to be on fewer and fewer of the meetings. So it's kind of like, okay, it's made us think, like, which meetings do I actually have to be on, which I think is a good thing, because I think you can kind of get oversaturated in meetings. I'm sure you're familiar with that, where it's like, what's the point of this? Is this really moving things forward? So I think we've had to rethink that, which I think is actually good for the company as well. So.
Yeah, totally. Um, Moving back to sort of Girona and Spain and cycling, what have you noticed the differences are between just the cycling scene in Girona versus in the US, other places you've lived?
Yeah, I mean, I think the closest I've seen is probably Boulder, because I think I only rode in Boulder like a few times, but you go there and you just be like, wow, like there's so many people out riding their bikes. And here it's like that, but like 10 times more. And it just becomes normal. Like, if I did a Hanover loop in Colorado Springs, for those in Colorado Springs, had the Hanover loop, and it's boring as hell. It's just it's four corners over like 40 miles. So, and you'd see somebody out there and you'd be like, oh, that's cool. Like, people train out there, but it'd be like, oh, that's cool. Like I saw someone else. And usually, that person in Colorado Springs. Here, it's like you just see, obviously I see the same pros every day, but you just see so many people here on vacation and stuff. And there's so many bike shops that cater to tourists, like not with just rentals, but like really nice rentals, like high end stuff. There's cafes that are kind of cycling oriented. A lot of hotels that do like cycling trips and stuff like that. You see like Trek travel vans and backroads vans and all that stuff. And so I think it's just it's definitely a culture here. At the same time, like I think in any situation where there's a lot of tourists coming to a town for a specific reason, there's a lot of pushback from locals. Prices have gone up. Cyclists don't always follow the rules, traffic rules and stuff. So there is definitely pushback. I think it's gentrified Girona a lot. Like there's a lot of very bougie like stores and stuff in town, which definitely were not here before the cycling boom. But at the same time, obviously it does bring a lot of money into the town as well. There's a university here also, so there's actually a lot of international students. So it's an interesting mix of cultures and people and stuff. So yeah, I think it's just it's just feels like it's a cycling like mecca. The other thing as well is in the US there are a few towns like this, but there's not really there's not really the same like pro cyclist hotbed in the US, just because there's obviously not as big a culture there, I guess. Like Northampton, Massachusetts was known as like the cyclocross hotbed. A lot of pros lived there, like Jeremy Powers, Stephen Hyde, Ellen Noble. But then Boulder, some pros had places there, but it's not like there's a place where everyone lives. Here it feels like you're almost in a university, because everyone around you is a pro cyclist. And for me, I'm outside that world. I'm not a full-time pro. I don't race on the road, but if you're a professional road cyclist, I can almost imagine that it feels like you're living on a university campus, because all of your coworkers and all of the people you spend your time around in races are also your neighbors. And I mean neighbors as in like they live in like a 1 kilometer radius, or less. And so I can only imagine as a professional road cyclist that's like challenging, because maybe the person who crashed you out in the race yesterday is also your neighbor. It can be a little awkward. There's definitely a lot of like gossip, the same way that would happen on a college campus. So yeah, it's different that way, but it's a cool community, and it's obviously set up well for cycling. So.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and sort of just like those social dynamics. Like I imagine maybe it's like kind of cliquey, like these people hang out with this crew and all that. So
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you how much you've experienced that in just the social scene.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. I mean, I think one of the nice things is being in like there's a lot of gravel racers. There's definitely fewer ultra racers, and so it's a pretty small scene. And there's a few people who I spend, like, especially there's one guy, Connor, who I spend a lot of time training with, and we just get along well. Similar personalities. We both are. Well, I studied political science, and he kind of works in that world. And yeah, so I think if you find your community, it's great. I think there's definitely like there's even like cliques around like which coffee shop people go to, which is kind of ridiculous. I don't drink coffee, so I actually don't even know where the good I actually had to screenshot someone's post where they ranked all the coffee shops just so that if somebody came to town and asked me where the good coffee shops were, I could just send them that post because I'm like, I don't know where the good coffee is. And so, yeah, I think it is definitely interesting that way. But I think if you find your community, it's good. But I can see why some of the professional road cyclists have left here beyond the tax benefit of Andorra and the altitude. I think some people moved there because it was like quieter. I think now the reality is it's not quieter because there's a ton of road cyclists that live there. But I can see why there are cyclists who decide, you know what, I'm going to move to somewhere else in Spain because I just want to be away from when I'm not at races. I want to be away from that scene. But I think being in the gravel scene and the ultra scene means you aren't in that space, so you're able to separate yourself. And I live on the edge of town, so I don't live around other cyclists. It's great. I mean, obviously my housemates are cyclists, but like we're away from all the constant sound of free hubs and stuff like that. So
Yeah. So switching gears a little bit here, how many races have you done since moving out there?
Just two. So Atlas Mountain Race, which was quite a big race in terms of toll on my body, and then Traka 560. So I guess total race hours, I've probably done a whole season worth of racing for most people, probably more, but only two events technically. So. I think you're muted, Ryan. Hold on one sec. Cool.
Can you?
Yeah, I can hear
you. Yeah, what's the differences between ultras over there versus ultras in the US, sort of just in general?
Yeah, so I mean, there's even just debate about what an ultra is. So a lot of the purists, I guess you could say traditionalists, don't consider Unbound an ultra because it's drafting. They don't consider it's too short. They don't consider Traka 560 an ultra because it's too short. I'd say just over here, the scene is much more established. So there's so many events. Like I think if you're outside the scene, you kind of hear about the big events. You hear about the Mountain Race Series, Transcontinental, Trans-Pyrenees, maybe the Traka and Unbound XL, but you don't really kind of see the surface below that. And there's so many events. I mean, I could probably do an ultra, probably do 2 or 3 ultras every weekend for the whole season if I really wanted to. Obviously, you can't do that. Whereas in the US, there's obviously Tour Divide. That's the big one. Unbound XL. There's like Arkansas High Country Race. There's, the Colorado Trail Race, but there's definitely less of a scene overall. And there are also a lot of like routes that people will go for FKTs on a bike pack, but there's a ton of that in the US, but there are fewer like established events, I'd say. So yeah, I think it'd be cool to see some of that stuff grow, but yeah, there's definitely more over here. And the US is so big, like it's so much easier to get around Europe. Like just the public transit, trains, flights are super cheap compared to even flying in the US. Like it's just easier to get to all these events. And so I think it's more set up if you want to pursue ultra racing as like a primary goal. It's a better place to be.
Yeah. So Traka was a couple weeks ago. What was your experience like there?
Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of drama around it, and we can get into that a little bit. In terms of my personal experience, like it was probably my best physical and mental performance on the bike. I mean, unfortunately, the race is not going to happen again next year, the 560, for a variety of reasons. But it's a pretty spectacular course. It's, you get to go up into the Pyrenees, you get to go to the coast, you kind of get a little bit of everything, a little flavor of Catalonia, kind of all the bits of it. All the geographic bits of it, should I say? Yeah, and I think I just I felt really solid. It was pretty consistent. My numeric result was worse than last year, but I think physically I feel like I was definitely at a better level, which is nice to see. Yeah, and then obviously came out, and there was a lot of challenges that came out of it with on the racing side, but also on like the safety side and just communication from the race organizer and stuff. And so Yeah, I think that was definitely challenging. It was like a stressful week after the event, but I think overall, like as just for my personal racing side, like I felt like okay, I had a good effort, and I feel like pretty confident going into Unbound. Although they're very very different races. So
Yeah, so I was a bit surprised to see all the drama because I didn't really like pay attention to Traka like in the moment on the day it was happening because it was actually the same weekend as the South Korea Mountain Bike World Cup, which
yep,
I
yep.
was paying more
That
attention
that
to
looked like it
personally.
had its fair share of drama as well with all the mud. Oh my gosh.
um, yeah, but like when you were at the Traka in the race, could you tell like, oh, there's going to be some like drama or discussion after this, or
No,
how did
no,
it play out?
well, before the race, actually, yeah, it's a yes in a way, mostly because of communication. So the race start time changed like three times in the last few weeks. So it changed from Thursday morning to to Friday at midnight. So like Friday at 12 a.m. to Friday at 7:30 p.m. in waves, and then back to Friday at in the morning. So it actually started affecting people who had booked their flights for like too close to the finish because then they wouldn't make their flight, and also affected people who had booked Airbnbs and stuff. And so that was like a little bit of a sign that okay, maybe the communication here, like this event, this distance is a little bit of an afterthought. Obviously, they have four distances. They have the 100, the 200, the 360, and the 560. And it's a little bit like Unbound, where there's like a well, there's two marquee distances, the 200 and 360. Unbound has one. It's a little confusing because there's a lot of argument over which is more important. I won't get into that, but those are definitely their big focuses. They have like a live stream, I think, for the 360. It's where most of the big pros go, etc. So there was definitely like some frustration over the communication, changes of start times, and then like in the race, we were racing on some open bike paths at like 10 a.m. on a holiday, which is like a little sketchy. And then their argument was like, it's not a race. It was never a race. But the odd thing is like, obviously there was a podium, and, the post with Victor Bassoni said, winner Victor Bassoni, which is how I would say it's like, I'd say like, he's the winner of the race. So it was a little bit like, is it a race or is it not? So there's definitely challenges from that point, but then like everything else that came up after was, yeah, obviously not expected. But I mean, I think like, I think if you had to boil it down to one thing, it's just as the sport professionalizes and people are making money off of it, there's going to be more scrutiny on this stuff and arguments about rules and stuff like that. And so I think it's the same thing that, I guess road cycling went through years and years ago. Gravel's going through now. It's just like gravel's a few years ahead. And then ultra's now going through it. And I think it's just like, it's a natural progression of sport, unfortunately. As much as, everyone talks about the spirit of gravel, I think the spirit of gravel is, in the sense that most people think of it, is long dead. And I think it's like ultra. What I love about ultra is the community, and like the people are more welcoming, and it's more relaxed feel. But also, as sport professionalizes, that will change, and unfortunately, that's the reality. So.
Yeah, yeah. It's all super interesting. I don't think we have to like, litigate anything against of articles. Like Fellow had one, Escape Collective has done some coverage, etc.
Yep. Escape has another article coming, I think. There's a journalist working on like a much deeper piece. So I think they should have another one coming in like a week or so.
Interesting. Yeah. But yeah, like just to wrap up, like with all the discussion after Traka, like where do things stand now, and where do you think things will go the rest of the season?
Yeah, so I guess in that sense, there were some positives that came out of it. One of them is a group of us have sat down. We've had one big meeting, which is a bunch of the ultra racers, and we're going to try and get organizers and other people involved around like setting up an organization to help like promote safety and fair play, but also just like kind of help create a framework for organizers to make their events run more smoothly. So that's also like communication. It's like live tracking. Like right now, live tracking at ultras is like a kind of a shit show because everyone uses a different platform and it often doesn't work, which is actually really dangerous because then all of a sudden your loved ones think that you've been stopped for 10 hours when actually you've been moving. And they're like, oh my God, is this person okay? So trying to work on something that will help provide a framework to organizers, not like create rules for them. That's the goal. We don't want to be the UCI, but like we'll include them, include amateurs, include pros, include sponsors, include local communities, and like all the stakeholders, and provide a framework that they can buy into and say, look, okay, we're going to follow this framework. We're going to say we abide by this framework, and it'll help them establish a clearer set of rules and protocols and stuff without, with a pretty small team on their end, because a lot of these races don't have big teams. There's only a few people running them. So that's the goal. It's early stages right now, but we've actually engaged with some pretty interesting people, like people who are not from the ultra space, but people who have a lot of, I won't use their names, but have a lot of experience organizing events like completely different from ultra cycling. And I think it'll be interesting. Like it's interesting having their perspective. And so, yeah, I think some good will come of it. And obviously there's going to be debate about is this the right thing to do, but I do think like it'll help with the larger events. Like obviously there's still always going to be the really, really grassroots events where it's like just anything go, like, just you sign up, you kind of have like a really homemade number plate type of thing. And that's great. Like, but that's the same with gravel. But I think there's also like, there are events where there's enough at stake, enough sponsorship money and stuff. And also enough people where like on the safety side, things need to be really dialed that I think this will help. So yeah, it'll be interesting. So we'll be hopefully announcing some stuff on this pretty soon, but we're working on this. So.
Awesome. So looking ahead, your next race is Unbound XL. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'll be honest, like I kind of wish I was at Hellenic Mountain Race next week. It's the second in the mountain race series. It's in Greece, and yeah, it's a little bit like bittersweet. I'm like, oh, man, I wish I could be there. But I mean, as an American, obviously, like Unbound is Unbound. I mean, it's so big. Like, I don't think people who haven't been there, it's hard to describe how big an event it is. But the XL is, whatever people say about it being an ultra or not, I'd say it's the biggest ultra, out there, just because of the size of the event that Unbound is in general. So it is really important, with some of those American sponsors, and as an American, it's also the first long event I ever did, really long event I ever did. So yeah, it's been cool to see it progress, change a lot since I did in 2022. This year is looking very stacked. Like I can read off a list of names. I mean, in the men's race, we got first and second from Traka. So Victor Bassoni and Max Agu. Got Rob Britton, defending champ. We got Pete Stetina. We got Robin Jumperl, who was top 3 there last year, and then also obviously won Tour Divide. We got Alex McCormick. He won Atlas Mountain Race and Hellenic Mountain Race last year. He had the 7-day distance record. I think he's going for Tour Divide this year. Bond Almond, super young, like upcoming ultra rider in the US. He was at Traka as well. We've got like Ted King, Matthew Left Hand, who does like a lot of crazy ultra records. Taylor Ladine, Alexi Cartier. The women's side, you got like Svenja Betts, who's won all of the major ultra, like Badlands, Traka, Unbound XL already. Maddie Nutt, who just won the Traka 560. Heather Jackson, she won Unbound last year. Ruth Astley, I don't know, pro triathlete, and then like Emma Grant. There's just a lot of big hitters at this race. So yeah, it's gonna be crazy, that's for sure.
Yeah. So when do you fly out there?
25th. Yeah. So I fought 25th, and yeah, me and Joe Laverick and Logan Jones Wilkins and Kevin Bankenstein and a couple guys from Exposure Lights and the guys from Carbs Fuel are all sharing a house. It's gonna be quite the house. We got media, we got full-time media, we've got the Substackers and me and Joe. We got Kevin, who's also media and racer. We got the lights and sponsors. It's gonna be quite the fun experience. But yeah, I'm excited to get out there. So
yeah, it's gonna be like one of those TikTok houses that people used to do.
Yeah, I think there's always like a joke about like the Potomal house and the Trek house and all that stuff at Unbound. I think our house is going to be a lot more fun. I've already told Logan Jones Wilkins that everything said in the house is off the record unless explicitly stated otherwise, because he's now working full time for Velo, And yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of conversations that we probably don't want to have on Velo about, like products and stuff like that and racing and all that. And so I was like, Logan, you're not a journalist unless we specifically tell you you are. So.
Yeah, that's smart. How are you feeling? What's your race plan? Like all that. I think you wrote something about this the other day.
Yeah.
And sounds like you have big goals, but
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a little bit of a plan that I don't know if I want to share at this point, but it's an unorthodox race plan, shall we say? And I'm like scared to try it, but it's also like it's a big gamble. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably share it when like I'll create a Substack article and post it like right at the start or something like that. But no, I think it's such a different race from everything else we do in the ultra scene. It's a drafting event. First of all, most of these ultra races are non-drafting, and a lot of them like Traka, like the first till we hit the first pit climb, everyone was drafting. It's like impossible to police that, so everyone was kind of like, okay, it's the way it is. A lot of them, it's like there's just no drafting period, like very strict, and it's everyone abide. Well, not everyone, but most people abide by that. And like with Traka, once you got the first climb, everyone was like really good about that sort of thing. With Unbound, drafting's allowed, and so what happens is like the store stops become really crucial because the faster your store stop is, you either get out ahead of the group or you get dropped by the group. And so I don't like it because it gets really aggressive in the stores. People pushing, it's not nice. And obviously it's flatter. I mean, it's not flat, it's rolling obviously, but it's deceiving. But at the same time, it's not like Traka. You can break it up into climbs, and so it just beats up your body like crazy because you're just always on the pedals. You just so much. You don't get like a break, and so that's hard. Like it's really hard. Like it's hard to describe to people who haven't done that sort of race how hard it is in your body to do that for like 20, 24 hours. But yeah, I mean, I think like I would love to be top 5. That would be amazing with this field. Like top 10 would be good, but I think you just have to go in knowing that like, okay, I've done this before. I'm experienced with this. And I can do it. And there's a lot of very unknown variables like mud. I mean, it's pretty legendary there. If it's muddy, it wrecks frames. It completely ends people's races. It's hell. And so if it's muddy, like anything can happen. So yeah, I think just going into it, like thought a lot about how I'm going to approach it. I'm still deciding on my final bike choice, but more in all likelihood, I'm going to race my hardtail. I'm going to drop our hardtail. And the main reason for that is the mud clearance. Because if I can bring one bike and it happens to be muddy, I want it to be one that has a lot of mud clearance. And that bike has that. So I also ride it a lot in training, like a ton, probably the most of all my bikes, to be honest. So yeah, I think I'm just going to, it's a little bit, maybe it's a little slower in some aspects. It's not aero at all, obviously, but I've got a flight attendant fork on it now, so it's pretty efficient. And yeah, if it gets muddy, it's the best. It's the best compared to anyone else. Like there's no gravel bike out there that has the same clearance as that. So I think like, well, we're just gonna run that, and yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and you rode a hardtail last year, is that right?
Yep, I rode the hardtail last year, and I thought it was being muddy, and it wasn't muddy. So,
yeah, and you had some flat tire issues last year.
yeah,
but at the front of the race, like I think it sort of felt like a before and after situation of like everybody was going like, wow, like that was like really fast.
yeah. I mean, when I finished and I heard how fast they did it, I was like, my jaw dropped. I'm like, I know Rob well. I really look up to Rob Britton. Like I respect him a ton as a person and as a racer, and he's just like so strong, super nice, super down to earth. He's always like super self-deprecating. He's like, oh, I'm just here to ride my bike. And I'm like, oh, shut up, Rob. We know you could kick our asses. But I heard how fast they did it. I was like, no way. Like how? Because I was in that lead group and I fought it out of it. And it probably was good I fought it out of it, because the thing about Unbound is, unlike other ultras where you can ride at a pretty steady pace, Unbound, it starts and there's going to be a point where the split's made where it's hard. It's like proper hard racing. And you burn so many matches that way. And what I realized is they had continued that pace for the whole time. And I was like, that's just unbelievable. It's crazy. So yeah, I mean, it's just a different sort of beast than anything else. You can't just ride it like a time trial, generally. Um, but you have to balance, do you want to stick with that lead group and burn a ton of matches and blow up really hard, try and hang on, or do you want to try and ride back into it? And so, yes, it's flat and drafting matters, but also when it's rolling and stuff, you're still working really hard in those kickers. And so you can't just like say, oh, I'm going to sit in the lead group and get a nice, easy ride. It just doesn't work that way. So it's a really hard race to approach.
Yeah. I remember I was last year I'd gone out to watch the 200 on course up north somewhere, like hour
Yeah.
or two into the race, and then got word that Rob was like almost finished, so like had to send it back to Emporia
Yeah.
try and catch the
Yeah.
finish.
They had to hold the 100 start because
Yeah, I
they
remember
finished that fast, which is both he and Lachlan, which is like, it was unbelievable. But I mean, I think it just shows how good those guys are in this year. I mean, Victor and Max and obviously Stetna and Robin. I mean, it's gonna be a fast one. And yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But again, like, if it's muddy, then all bets are off. And I'd say it's a big equalizer because a lot of it comes down to your equipment and also just mentally who can deal with hiking through the mud for a long period of time. So yeah, we'll see. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely good luck at that. And after that, are you headed back to Spain, or what's next after Unbound?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to Lincoln, Nebraska and helping coach the Gravel Worlds camp there. So that'll be a super fun way to kind of chill after Unbound, have some fun. I'm a big fan of that event, and it's been challenging to get to it the last year, or well, the last year and this year, just with other events. But I did it in 2024. I did the long voyage, and yeah, amazing event, super well run, really fun. A lot easier than Unbound because it's in a real city. So it's Lincoln, Nebraska. So really easy to find housing, cheap, easy to get to. Yeah, I really like what Jason does. So I actually went to his new event in Hawaii this past fall. So it'd be fun to doing that camp, and they still have some spaces as well. So if anyone's interested, you can shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I can get you a nice little discount. So yeah. But then after that, headed back to Spain, and yeah, I've got a busy summer. I'm doing a race up in Norway, a race in Switzerland, and then a race in Spain on the Pyrenees, and then Badlands in Spain. So possibly going to drop one of those. Those vary. So like between like 800 and 1,000 kilometers roughly. So it's a lot. And then my last race is Taurus Mountain Race in Turkey. So that's a new one of the mountain race series, which should be really cool. So yeah, it's a big summer, and I think just gonna have to see how the body feels. Again, this is my first year committing fully to ultra. So I just gotta play it by feel, see how my body holds up, and go from there.
Awesome. Yeah. After one of these ultras, what does your recovery process look like?
Oh boy. Well, after Atlas, that was the biggest event I'd done in terms of distance and toll it took on my body. I definitely did a lot on a lot of damage to my knee, I'd say. I rode the last 700 kilometers with kind of a rough IT band. But then I also got the stomach bug like the day I came back. So I had like a week of really nasty stomach bug. And yeah, it took a bit to come back from that. Honestly, it was like just started riding. I'm like, wow, I feel so bad. And then when I came back, I had like a few really good months of training. So like I just kind of took it slowly. And when I got back to it, I was like, I started feeling really, really good on the bike, like the best I ever have. And then after the Traka, like it's a little bit different, these shorter ones. It's interesting. I get a lot of swelling in my body. So like my face and everything gets puffy. My legs get really puffy, like really bad edema. And that will happen like the day after the race. And then all of a sudden, a few days later, it'll just go away, like really suddenly. So that's like a sign to me that like I'm starting to feel better. But like I felt pretty bad through that Thursday, and then Friday rode. I was like feeling better. Then I did a 2-day bike packing trip with a friend. We did like 8 hours, 7, 8 hours each day or something like that. That weekend, and just easy. But yeah, so it just depends. You just have to kind of listen to your body and see how you feel. But I think the big thing is just like, yeah, it's you have to respect it. Because you're also missing, you're missing a night of sleep, throws off your body clock. One night of sleep isn't too bad. 2 nights, like with Badlands, definitely starts to throw you off a bit. And then when you get to like Atlas Mountain Race, it's like you're sleeping a bit, but you're still sleep deprived, and it throws you off a lot. So you have to realize it's not even like 100-mile race is nothing compared to it. Like even like Leadville, it's like, wow, like I did it last year. I'm like, wow, it feels so short. And it's funny, like you just start getting a skewed perception. It can be easy to think, oh, like these races aren't that bad on your body, but they are. They're a big toll. So
Yeah, totally. And I believe last year, late summer or fall, you did a trip in the UK. I think with exposure lights.
yeah, so I did a bike packing trip after Badlands. That was like a week after Badlands. Did a 9-day bike packing trip around England and Wales. And yeah, I started from the Exposure Lights headquarters down in southern England in the South Downs. Absolutely beautiful. And then kind of rode west a bit, then rode northeast, across England, across to Wales, did an event that Tailfin does, another of my sponsors, called Detours in Wales. And it was the first edition. It was like a randoneering, like almost like scavenger hunt style race. Really cool. It wasn't even a race, really. It was a race if you wanted to be, but it didn't have to be a race. Really cool intro to bike packing type of thing. Great community, and they're doing another one this year, and then they're hoping to expand actually even into the US next year. So a little hint, little secret, working on that. So yeah, and then I rode back to Telford headquarters and flew back to the US. But that was really fun, and I've done a couple of short bike packing trips this year. It's great. Like, you just leave on a Saturday morning and get back on Sunday afternoon, and don't miss any work. And it's such a cool way to explore the area. Like I've been up to France a couple times, once on the road, and then last weekend we went on mountain bikes. We stayed in a refuge last weekend, like one of those little mountain huts. And yeah, I want to do another longer one this year. I don't know when, but maybe sometime in October after Taurus, if I'm feeling up to it. Just go have fun, go explore a new area. And I think bike packing is the best way to do that. You're moving fast enough, you can cover a lot of ground, but you're moving slow enough, you can actually like experience it. So
Yeah, I'm super curious about just like, yeah, bike touring, bike packing. So might give it a shot this summer.
yeah,
Nothing crazy, but gonna have some time on my hands with going back to
yeah,
the freelance life. So
yeah, totally. There's a lot of good stuff in Colorado for sure, and just cool stuff in the US in general for sure.
yeah. Are you going back to that Detour Wales event this year? Or?
Yeah, the plan is to go back. Yeah, it'll be last year was like the end of my season, and this year I have another race after, but it'd just be a fun event. And I really love hanging out with the Telfin people. They're super amazing. Like obviously make amazing products, but they're also just such a great group of people. I went to their office and just it was really fun. Like yeah, and the community there was amazing. Wales is spectacular, very wet, but really amazing. And yeah, I was just felt like that whole day of doing that like race, you'd see people riding the other direction because everyone had to plan their own routes. And the goal was you had 10 checkpoints. There was point A, point B. You had to hit minimum of one checkpoint, but it was who could hit the most checkpoints and reach the finish point, which is only 30, 40K away from the start, within that time limit. So you had to plan your route and figure out it could be on road, it could be off road, whatever you wanted. And it was so cool because you just see people riding the other way, like middle of the day, and be like, oh, do they have a better route? Like, and it just felt like it was like a big kid scavenger hunt. It was really cool, really cool, and I love the format. And I'm excited to hopefully help them get one to the US next year. But yeah, highly recommend if anyone in the UK. It's well worth a nice little weekend trip. So
Yeah, that sounds awesome. The yeah, just like route finding and checkpoints. It sort of reminds me of some of the like single speed cyclocross stuff.
yeah,
And like,
exactly.
like you have to go do this thing, or like, alley cat racing, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
exactly, totally. Yeah, same vibe for sure.
cool. Well, wrapping up here, I see you're wearing a Pivot shirt. You've got a Carbs helmet in the background. What's your sponsor setup looking like this season?
Yeah, so I worked with Pivot this is my third year with them. Third year officially, but I've been riding their bikes on and off since 2016 even. Yeah, 2016. So yeah, that's been really fun, and I think growing with them, and it's cool because now I've been able to like start being more involved with like the design process of bikes, which is really like it's an honor, honestly. I'm like, you guys are asking me this question, like really? Sure, you don't want to ask somebody more qualified. Yeah, and then work with Carbs Fuel, obviously Colorado brand, and they make an amazing product, and also a product that's nutrition product that's affordable, like $2 gels for 50 grams. I can't wait. Well, I've been pressuring Gabe to get them into Europe, because there's definitely they could do really well here. I mean, there's gels are so expensive, and when you get a product that's good and costs a lot less, it really helps people perform better on the bike because they can actually afford it. Yeah, and then working with Vittoria Tires, so that's been great. I've known their senior vice president of product development, Ken Avery, for a long time. So, I started off testing tires for him, and then being involved in that process, and then became one of their athletes last year. Well, I was on their grassroots program as a junior, I think, or at E23, where I'd like get 20% off their product, type of thing. But it's been really fun. And then working with Tailfin, so bags again, like huge advantage having good bike packing bags for races as well. Like just in terms of carrying stuff, because every race I do, you need to have bags in your bike to carry everything you need. And then working with Exposure Lights, again, like another brand that when I first did Unbound in 2022, I looked at what Taylor Levine had run in 2021 when he won the race. And I was like, okay, what did he use? And he used Exposure Lights. So I literally bought what he had used. And and then they reached out to me at the beginning of 2025, I think it was, like, do you want to work together? I'm like, yeah, I'd love to. Like, I already have your stuff because it's really good. So that's been fun. And then I work with Jobo, again, New England brand, well, French brand, but they have a New England base. So yeah, and then I started working with Pearl Izumi this year. So that's been really fun. Another Colorado-based brand, and it's been exciting. I think I hopefully should have my personal custom kit for Unbound. So that should be exciting. Hopefully, it's actually going to be shipped there, which will be really cool. So it'll be my first race in that, and yeah, I mean that's all the main stuff. And then I've got a new sponsor called Scandalous, which is a carbon wheel company, and they're really interesting because they're so it's the guy I met at Atlas Mountain Race at the finish. We just spent like hours talking about wheels and tech and all this stuff, and we really hit it off. And he runs a company that produces like tens of thousands of OE wheels for other brands every year. And he's got this like few different smaller brands that produce more custom stuff and bespoke things. And the cool thing is he has the ability to do these smaller scale custom projects. And so we've got some really cool ideas of like how we can optimize wheels for ultra racing, because it's not really like a market for that per se. There's not really like a company that's going after that market. So we've got some cool stuff in the works for that. Don't think I'll have it for Unbound, unfortunately, but after that, I should have some of it. But yeah, it's been really cool working with them as well. So yeah, and then the last one is I work with Enso Mental Performance. So they're like a Dr. Sarah Mitchell. She's a sports psychologist, works with a lot of I'd say the off-road scene and the road scene in the US, and just been very important for me, especially not just in racing, but just like everything else going on in life and work and all that stuff. And so, yeah, it's been really fun.
Cool. All right, Chris. Well, anything else you want to cover or shout out, or anything else on your mind?
I don't think so. I mean, I think just I mean, hopefully see people at Unbound, and I mean, hopefully you're going to be at Unbound.
No, not gonna make it out this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, hanging out in the Durango Mountains this time of
That
year isn't a
that
bad
sounds
thing.
more fun,
Exactly.
honestly. Yeah, yeah. That sounds more. I mean, I love Unbound, but it is stressful and expensive, and yeah, it's a lot. So yeah, Durango sounds pretty nice. But yeah, hopefully we'll see people out there. And again, like I just want to say, like going to that Gravel Worlds camp after, and I'll be helping coach there. And if you want to come, it's the 5th through 7th, I believe, that Friday through Sunday after Unbound, and Lincoln, Nebraska. Normally it's like $500 for 3 days, and I can get you a really crazy deal on it. And so with a few more spots open, coaching by like Hannah Otto, Hannah Shell, Jake McGee, I'll be there. Group rides, dinner Saturday night, a lot of like workshops and stuff. And it's a good way to like build your confidence if you're going to be doing Gravel Worlds or any other gravel event. And also, one of the things that's cool is, they obviously have their long voyage event, which is the 300-mile distance. And it's a really good intro to like ultra events. It starts at 5 p.m. It's one overnight. It's easier terrain than Unbound, I would say. And with this camp, I'd like to be able to pass on some of the stuff I've learned. And so if you're interested in like maybe giving something a try, the Gravel Worlds Long Boys is a great option. And then coming to this camp as well, I think should be a big help. So yeah, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram or a message on Substack or yeah, whatever. And I can get that sorted for you.
Cool. And yeah, Jason's energy and just whole vibe always makes me want to come to one of his events.
It's well worth it. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to a year when I can get back and make it fit in my schedule, because it's one of the best events out there for sure.
Nice. Well, thanks, Chris. Always good chatting with you, and thanks to the folks who joined us live here on Substack. Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Well, thank you, and yeah, look forward to seeing you at some point. Hopefully this year, if not, maybe next season or something.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your
Okay.
Sunday.
Yeah. Talk to you later.
Have
Bye.
a good one.